In a previous video I showed how to create a bank account object and how to manipulate it using the Self GUI. In this video I'm going to show how to export the source code of that to a standard text file which you can add to Git or some other version control system and share with other developers. I've saved the previous bank account example that I did in a snapshot, which is a binary representation of all objects in the Self world. Something that's not very suitable for sharing, but it enables you to start and stop your development and have your workspace set up as you last left it. So we'll load what we had before, and you'll see the screen is pretty much exactly as how we left it off. I'm going to close some of the temporary windows down that we don't need. Alright, as we see, we have our traits bank account object and our bank account prototype object. The unit of exporting in Self is called a module. Within a module we have what amounts to a collection of slots of the changes that we've made to the world. In this case we're going to add the new stuff that we've added to a module and then tell Self to save that module. There's a morph called change modules that shows what modules have been changed in the Self world at any time. You can get to it by middle clicking and choosing changed modules. In this case we see there are currently no changed modules. I'm going to put it up here so we can keep it visible. One of the features we're going to be using is something that Russell Allen added recently called transporter trees. That lets us host the source code to our modules anywhere. It doesn't have to be contained within the Self directory itself. To be able to use that, we need to register the path where we're going to have the source code stored. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. We will register using modules init, register tree, we give it a unique name, in this case CC bank account, and a path. I'm going to put it at temp bank account. And we'll do it. Now we need to create that directory. I'll switch to a terminal. Make bank account and change to it. And switch back to our Self window. To assign an object to a module, we, for example, traits bank account, middle click on it and choose set module. It'll ask us which slots, we want all of them. Which module is other, so we can set it. Bank account, it will create it, or ask us if we want to create it. Yes, we want to create it. It is not going to be a submodule, and it wants us to confirm. Which directory should bankaccount.self reside in? Applications is the default, and that's generally where most Self application source code lives, so we're going to do it in applications as well. We'll leave it as default. You'll see now that the name bank account has been added to the module list of that object. We want to do the same thing with the global prototype object, which is this one here. Middle click, set module, all slots, other, bank account. Doesn't ask us any more questions because that module already exists. There's a couple of other places that we've changed that we also need to set the module, and that's in the lobby where we added it to globals in the applications category. We added the bank account slot, so I'm going to middle click, set module, and set the module. Another way you can change it is you show annotation. If we show the annotation for that slot, it shows the module it belongs to and a couple of configuration settings. We'll change it that way. We'll add bank account. If follow is set, it means that when exporting the source code, it will look at the slot bank account, follow to the object that's held in that slot, and then export that object. We can also set it to initialize to say always initialize it to a particular expression. In this case we want to follow, so follow is set. And the same change needs to be made to the trait slot that we added. So it's also in traits, applications, bank account. We'll do the show annotation way as well. Bank account and set it to follow. looking at the changed module morph, we see that there's one changed module. Drilling down shows us its bank account. Clicking W all will write out all modules, clicking W will write out just the bank account. We have to make one small change to say where the code gets written. Although we've registered the tree location where things are stored, we have to associate the module with that tree. So we'll do that. We'll bring up the modules, the bank account module, get it, and take a look at the details inside it. There's a tree slot. It's currently empty. We want to set it to the name of the tree we gave, C bank account. There are various other settings that can be changed here. You can see that it's got the directory that we set it to. There's a revision number, various other things. You can also run code after the source is filed in or before the source is filed in. For some reason there seems to be a small bug in the current system where it comes up with pre-file in not found if we file in the code initially. So one way to work around that for now is we're going to edit this pre-file in slot and just make it empty, make it return self. So I'll investigate further why that happens. Right, we've made the changes necessary to the module so it gets filed out in the correct location. Let's file it out. Click W. Now if we switch back to the terminal, you see there's an applications directory and with a bank account.self source code, which contains all the changes, all the code that we entered, plus various metadata. This can be added to Git or some other version control system. And shared as normal. Now I'll load a empty self world and we'll load that code in just to show that it works and how to load it. So we'll quit out of here. We'll just quit, we won't save. And I'll load up an empty self world. This has nothing in it other than the initial system. First thing we have to do to load that source code is, again, we need to register the module tree where the code lives. So register tree. This is what a user of your code would have to enter. They'll put on the tree name that they want, where it's at, and then they'll run the code to load it. That's done using the Bootstrap object. So Bootstrap read the module name from the directory, which is applications, in tree, and the name we registered the tree. Get it. And there it is, it's loaded. Modules bank account. We can prove that it's actually loaded by looking in the lobby and seeing if it's there. Let's have a look. Lobby. Get it. Globals. Applications. And you'll see the bank account object with its traits, balance and everything set as expected. Let's have a look at the trait. It's there, deposit and withdraw. Now you notice that the deposit method has the edited code that I did from my last video where I multiplied amount by 2. To demonstrate how to make changes, I'm going to change that and we'll write the change back to disk and commit it to Git. We'll have a clean up here, clean up some of these. We don't need that, we don't need that. Get rid of the lobby. Now, we have to set again the tree in the bank account module so that when we make our change it knows where to write it to disk. This way you can change that tree slot to be able to write to any location, but we're going to write it back to where we were so we can save it in our Git repository. So we'll set the tree back to C bank account, and have a look at our changed modules to see that there's no changes. we'll make our change to our source code. Balance equals balance plus amount. Change it. And now you'll see that we're back to one changed module. And it's indeed the bank account that we changed. We'll write it out to disk. Switch back to our terminal. And we should find that it's changed. There it is, bank account.self is changed. And it's kept the old code in applications bank account.old. We can get a diff. Shows the change that we made. Balance plus amount. And commit it. And back to our self window. Now any user can then load that changes by following these same steps, registering the tree and doing the bootstrap to load it into their world. And development then just becomes an iteration of doing that and sharing the Git repository for the code that you've changed.